Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Q&A podcast right from my living room. I am Jason Avant with my main man, Quentin Michael. Quentin, say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Glad to be back again, man.
How's life, right.
Man? How's things going, man? How's life?
I am doing really well, man. I was very nervous for most of that game because I'm like, the Eagles are shooting themselves in the foot for 2 straight weeks because offensively, there's not many teams that can stop the Eagles, but we can stop ourselves, and we've been doing it the last couple of weeks. But I'm doing good beside the heart attack for most of that game. I was actually watching it at the stadium for a watch party in the Touchdown Club, or what used to be the Touchdown Club is the First Trust Bank Club now. And I was there with fans watching the game, and that even makes it even tougher to watch the game because everyone's asking me a question. Why do they do that? Why do they do this? I'm like, I don't know, man. Just let me take my notes.
I love that, man. It's like whenever I go to a barbecue or something, and people, hey, what's going on in that locker room? Like, what's going on? Like, dude, I'm not playing anymore. I can't tell you exactly what's going on. Like, I can tell you what I see, and I can explain some stuff, but I'm not in the meeting rooms. I can't tell you all of that.
Yeah. All right. So before we get into the show today, we're going to make sure that we do some housekeeping. Thank you to Adam, to Jeff, to Josh, everyone that's responsible for this show, the Q&A podcast. Thank you guys for sending in your questions. Make sure you email them to insidethebirds@gmail.com. Again, insidethebirds@gmail.com. Follow us, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, you can check out this show every Tuesday morning. It drops, and it will be found on Inside the Birds YouTube channel or Amazon and/or Apple Music. So make sure you're following us on all our platforms, staying abreast of what we're talking about and what's going on in Eagles land. And before we get right into it, Q, how was your weekend? How is everything going your way, my man?
Man, my weekend was beautiful. My wife's out of town, so I'm on daddy daycare. Kids, they just going crazy. I'm watching the game. They upstairs doing their own thing. She probably gonna kill me when they get home. Yeah. When she gets home and see the house a mess. But other than that, it was good. And just like you, I was stressed out on Sunday. Like what the heck's going on? But thankfully the Eagles pulled it out and we're good to go.
Yes, sir. That's funny. Quintessential dad. Just don't kill each other. We're good. All right. So, big picture takeaways. First fourth quarter comeback of the season. Third of Jalen Hurts' career. Some say games like this are good to test the team's fortitude. What do you think about the overall takeaway and how we won this game?
Well, to me, watching the game, I came away really proud of that game because the entire game really, there was a lot of positive stuff and there was a lot of negative stuff. And like you said before, a lot of the negative stuff were things that the team was doing to themselves. They were, big mistakes on their own, shooting themselves in the foot. And to see this team just come back and fight. And for me, the two guys, Brandon Graham and Quez Watkins making two huge plays towards the end of the game to seal that game after what happened last week was huge. And it kind of shows how, for me, it shows the determination in this team in terms of it shows the will to continue to fight and the will to want to win. They could have folded, but they kept fighting, kept coming back. And, they pulled out a win. I thought this was huge for this team long term.
Wow. I'm glad you made that point because it didn't even resonate with me what happened last week. But yes, Brandon Graham with a big sack, which created a 3rd and 16. And then they got the penalty to make it 3rd and 21, 4th and 21. So it was a huge play. He basically helped win a game. Quez catches that deep over route in the red zone, helps win the game, so that's a great thing to see. And that's what football is about. Football, you always get another opportunity. Will you be ready mentally when that time comes, or will you soak and be down? So that's just a great life lesson. That's why we love the game of football. So everyone has their chance of redemption. So overall takeaway for me is that the two new dudes, once they got into the game consistently, they literally, I don't know how that happened, Q. How does this happen? Them dudes were on their couch chilling for 11 weeks. Like
chilling,
playing Call of Duty, yelling at the TV, eating wings, chasing kids. Turn the TV down from the wife, my show's on. Like they're at home. And you go into an NFL football. I have never seen that before.
It's unreal.
I haven't. And all of my years of watching the NFL, playing in the NFL, I've never seen two dudes that were at home that were more effective in a football game than Linval Joseph and Sue. And when I say Linval Joseph was effective, there's times where he has a grown man in his grasp and just disregards him. Like, I was like, are you kidding me right now? This doesn't supposed to happen like this. So that was a great revelation.
Yeah, man.
So for rundowns, like we got hurt in that first drive. Guess what? In that first drive, wasn't in, them dudes weren't in there. Yep. Once they got in there, the run game was basically non-existent because they had 60, 45 yards rushing in the first series.
That was it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it was. And they ended up with 99 for the game. That's what everything. So 50 yards rushing once the dudes got in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me was like a great revelation, a big takeaway. Another takeaway of mine is we got to stop shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Our first half of football went like we drove the ball into their territory. We got a penalty, got knocked out of field goal range. We drove the ball, second drive, into their territory, got knocked out of field goal range. We drove the ball into their territory again, right? And we're on the precipice of scoring a touchdown. Jason Kelce snap over ahead. We got to kick a field goal. Like, it's just like every series in the first half, there was something that we did in order to prevent us in scoring opportunities, which didn't make sense. And it continued in the first play of the third quarter with a terrible scheme, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah, no, I agree, man.
So those are my big pick. And I'll say the other big picture takeaway is that Josiah Scott is going to be targeted heavily.
Yeah.
And they were targeting him, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah. I think he settled in a little bit. I think he got a little bit better. The first half wasn't great for him.
I have two plays I want to show you, and I want to get your opinion of. I'm gonna break them down for the fans, but it's things that Jonathan Gannon is doing that we're not used to doing in this game with personnel that are not used to doing it, and it calls for really big plays. And it's basically the same defense, the same way. But they're not in position to start. Therefore, they can't communicate. And when you're not in position to start, you can't communicate with a guy, and therefore the guy's running free. So they're trying to in and out something, and the guy not even next to him communicate. It's weird. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we will talk about that.
Yeah, well, yeah. I want to see that.
Let's get right into it, Q. I'll take this first one. First quarter comeback of the season, Jalen Hurts. Ugly win. The difference between 9-1 and 8-2 is now Eagles have 2-game lead over everyone in the NFC East. Does it feel like the Eagles showed they've got a lot to work on?
I don't think it shows that they have a lot to work on. I think it shows that teams are starting to get better. Teams are starting to get healthy. Teams are starting to figure out what this team does. If you look at the stats, the Eagles have been really successful because that second quarter, I mean, started off first game, they had 24 points, second quarter, 17 points, 24 points, 20 points. The last 3 games they've scored against the Colts, they had 3 points in the second quarter, 0 points against Washington and only 7 against Houston. And so to me, that's telling me that teams are starting to scheme and figure out what exactly that this team offensively is doing in the second quarter, and they're trying to shut that down. So to me, I think it's more of teams starting to figure out what they're doing and trying to keep them from doing that offensively. Defensively, it's kind of been the same thing all year. It's got to stop the run. You got to tackle. You got to get off the field on third down. And that sometimes they've been doing great. But yesterday or Sunday was second half for me. I was proud of that defense. I thought they came out fighting, and they did what they had to do to win the game. So to me, I think that's more of the issue. It's what the Eagles are doing to themselves, and they're the ones that, especially offensively, that can really change this thing and make it right, so they can get that nice long run in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that teams are starting to recognize what the Eagles are doing. I disagree with you when it comes to the reasoning, though. The reasoning is self-inflicted 80%.
Yes, I agree.
It's self-inflicted. And when I say it's self-inflicted, it's been not a few, but in the last 2 games, for sure, it's been us turning the ball over. Now in 2 games, we got 6 turnovers, and we only had 4 in the first.
Yeah.
So we've had more turnovers in the last 2 games than we've had the entire season.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Prior to those games. So and that right there is self-inflicted.
Yep.
So that's one thing. We're not protecting the football. Pass protection has been spotty the last couple games.
Agreed.
It's been spotty, especially in this game. Jordan Mailata has to step up a little bit better and do a little bit better job at pass protecting. Even though Jalen didn't get many sacks, giving up in this game, there was a lot of short edges that Jordan Mailata had. And also on the fumble, I don't know a defense or a offense where you just roll out to the right and let the running back take the defensive end completely. And then Jordan Mailata is looking around. So that lets me know it was on Jordan Mailata. The guys outside of you, I don't know what you're looking at. The running back is supposed to be there for help. He don't supposed to go one-on-one with Ngakoue. It doesn't supposed to happen like that. That's a 265, 70-pound man against a 200-pound running back.
Yeah.
And
I saw that. I was like, somebody messed up on that.
Huh?
I saw that. I'm like, somebody messed up on that.
Oh, it was Mailata for sure. It's one guy outside. You're doubling. You're doubling the 3 technique, right? You're doubling when you shouldn't be. So and you got a guy outside of you that you didn't see, and that's where it goes. So I said Mailata has to play a lot better. And the penalties is just tight ends made a lot of penalties, offensive line holding. The only thing that saved us that game is that freaking the Colts had 90 yards worth of penalties on holding because they couldn't block the defensive line. Yeah.
It didn't feel that way.
Huh?
But you said the Colts had 90 yards?
The Colts had 90 yards worth of penalties. They had 8 penalties worth for 90 yards.
See, you could tell I'm a big Eagle fan because I felt like every call was against the Eagles.
It was, but later in that game when the Eagles started to pass rush, it was starting to get tough for them. Yeah.
Point.
Yep. So let's go to topic 2.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. So Eagles, finished the game 17-16. With the run defense, obviously we kind of hit on this a little bit, but were you surprised by what Linval Joseph and Sue, were out there that much and how effective they were?
How does it happen? I just think that, man, somebody's gonna get injured. You sitting at the house, that's the first thought. Every time I know for a skill position, you sit at home that long, you get hurt.
Yeah.
And my line's using hamstring right away.
Yeah. That happened to me when I went to Carolina my last year. When Sean McDermott called me, I was literally sitting on the couch having a beer watching football. He's like, "Hey, you want to come out and play?" I was like, "All right." I was out. I was playing. I started against Seattle the next game, and I almost lost both my hamstrings. I almost cramped into the hospital.
So man, see, it's tough, right? So so I didn't expect that at all, and I didn't expect them to have a grasp on the defense they will, especially Sue Limbaugh has been in this defense before. So, but I'm pretty sure they say, hey man, look, you playing a no, you playing 0, you playing 3, and that's it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Just beast, just go beast mode,
and go, and you got this responsibility, and that's it. And that's what I'd say. Football is made for defense, where you don't got to think about nothing. There ain't no way anybody on offense would have been able to pull this off.
We just too smart, man.
Yeah, they're too smart. Yeah, okay. But no, great impact. Literally destroyed the run game. Ended up with a half a sack apiece as well. A lot of production. So they're going to have to figure this out. I want to know what's going to happen when Jordan Davis comes back, because I don't think that you should get rid of these two dudes.
Hell no.
So what's going to happen though? It ain't enough money.
We worried about this year, okay? In the future, we'll worry about that later, right?
I know, but how many roster spots you got for defensive tackles?
We'll worry about that later. They look too good out there.
But that look good. I was like, yo, these dudes are handling biz. I felt like that was an episode of The Ringers. Like you showed up for the YMCA and you showed up with an NBA player on your squad for a charity event. That's what that felt like. You showed up with Jerry Rice in 1989 for the neighborhood flag football game. That's what it felt like when Limbaugh, Joseph, and Sue was in the game. I was like, well, we go from rags to riches. We out there from Rod Wave for sure, right? Rags to riches really fast.
And I'll tell you what, man. Marlon. I forgot how you pronounce his name. I can't pronounce. I'm sorry if I butcher. You hear this? I butcher your name. He's out for the year, so I guess that opened up a spot. But
still an extra one. But
yeah, but like to me, I think that's a testament to, not a testament, but it's kind of showing that the young guys drafted aren't ready yet. Marlon isn't ready yet, because even before, when I saw him come into games, he was getting pushed around a little bit, and he's a second-year player. Milton Williams is still, I don't know yet.
He's more of a younger version of Hargrave than a defensive tackle that's going to stop the run.
Yeah,
right. Because he does have nice pass rush moves, shows that he can shoot gaps and things like that, but he's not a force that can't be moved. These two dudes are hard to move, which is different. And it's the young guys you're talking about. These dudes are showing the old guys how to do it. I don't care who's on the team. When you see Joseph just like picking dudes up like little kids and ragdolling them out of the way, it's like, oh, the quarterback is over there. Move right now. I go. Like it's.
So, go ahead. I don't want to cut you off, but this is one thing, and I noticed this is in the game. Okay, when the Eagles defense, and I don't want to get too technical, but when they were trying to stop the run, they come out first, second down. They say we're going to stop the run. They're going to go to their 5-man front, right? So what teams are doing though, they're coming out on their rundowns and they're playing 11 personnel. So that means we're going to our 5-man front, and I kind of alluded to this a couple weeks ago. But they're still with their sub package, with a nickel package. So you're taking one linebacker off the field, and what's been happening is you got TJ Edwards is a lone linebacker with 5 defensive backs. So if something breaks through that first line of defense, it can go anyway, right? It can go for a long run because those secondary guys aren't great tacklers yet. What I do like about having Sue and Joseph in there is now you can go back to your 4-man front, because those two can stop. No, even when they went to a 4-man front, they were still stopping.
They were still good. Yeah, exactly.
And now you're taking Now you're bringing a linebacker back on the field with
you bring in Kyzir White,
back on the field, and I think that's a better first and second down defense for this team, as opposed to having TJ as the only linebacker out there. So hopefully that that works there that way.
Okay, now that's a very good point, because when you have those secondary players, which Garner Johnson doesn't tackle well, even though he led the team in tackles, but they're down the field for most of this game. And then you're going to have times, because of the alignments, especially the coach being in 12 and other things, that the cornerback is responsible for the C gap or what have you. And that happened a few times where the guy was just like that big run, their first big run.
Yeah, Bradbury
could have just ran down and made the tackle, but he's sitting there waiting. And you said you can't wait. Like, you got to go when there's no space, because the longer you wait, the more space he has. And you're not going to tackle NFL running back, especially a dude that's been arguably the NFL MVP last year. You get what I mean? So you're not going to tackle him like that. So that type of thing happens. And we showed a clip, a couple weeks ago of Garner Johnson having an opportunity to tackle people and didn't, tackle. It happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what your philosophy does make sense. Get the better tacklers on the field, especially when you got bigger men up front. Maybe you don't need the 5-man front.
You can change it up. Keep it fresh, Gannon. Keep it fresh.
There you go. All right. What happened to the coach on the first possession? How did Jonathan Gannon adjust after that drive? Right. So on the first possession, the coach went right down the field, like immediately. They had the big play on third down to Michael Pittman. Then they had Jonathan Taylor with the Miss Bradbury, and then they had a few runs into the end zone or what have you. Like, after that is when we saw the big guys. And you think that was the only adjustment that was made? Okay, we're going to start playing Linval and Sue on first and second down.
I think, well, schematically, I think that was really the only thing that I saw different. I think, I don't even think it was really the first drive. I think it really wasn't until like the second half where, for me, I started to see the linebackers playing more downhill. I think schematically, not much change. I think Linval and Sue getting their hands up and not being moved down the field, taking up two, and allowing the linebackers to come more downhill is really what changed for me. I think it was more like, to me, it was more the attitude and the aggression and the urgency from the linebacking core and the defensive line staying in their gaps is what really changed it in my eyes.
Yeah. So let's see if I can figure this out on StreamYard. All right, so here we are with the tape. Now, so in this situation, right? So what I'm describing for those that are in their car is the Eagles' 3rd down and 6 play, the first long play to Michael Pittman on the shallow cross earlier in the game. And this is problems that I think that Jonathan Gannon has, right? I don't think that they communicate well, and I don't think that he's putting his players in the best position in order to stop things. Right now, if you can look at my cursor, you see these guys in a 3-by-1, tight end, Pittman, and then you have a receiver outside, and then Pierce down here. So because they're in this tight split, this automatically tells the defense that this guy has a high likelihood of running a shallow cross, just based on this formation and how tight he is to number 3. When 2 is tight to number 3, everyone knows that this is a chance for him to have a crosser. Now, they're in man-to-man coverage. His eyes is locked on this guy. This is no position for man-to-man coverage, not in this situation. This is man-to-man. The only way you're going to be able to overcome this pick is if you get tighter. And or this guy here, because this man is blitzing, because the linebacker is blitzing, the safety has to come down and get in a position where these two guys can communicate. They're not in that situation. He's one-on-one. And if he's one-on-one, this is not a position that you should be in.
Yep.
I am going to run this play. Right now, he doesn't recognize the pick. He's a young player. The linebacker is vacated. They try to drop a guy underneath. This guy has the tight end, the safety that's not in the screen. Gardner Johnson has the tight end one-on-one. If he's down at level and gets to the play fast enough, they can communicate. I have in, you have out. So Gardner Johnson has a better angle to stop Michael Pittman, and then Josiah Scott will be on the tight end if they get in position. And now these things frustrate me because this is just communication. This is putting your guys in position to do like the simple communicative things that you need in order to win. So now you see this play happens.
Ryan
he's
from
not
the
in
gun.
position. He's behind.
Hits his man.
Garner,
Pittman in stride and a big gain into Philadelphia territory.
Was third down. But watch. Free
You see what I'm
runner
saying,
right at
Q?
Matt Ryan.
This guy
Sees
right here,
him coming,
they're no
stays
man
right
land.
in there, locates his target, and puts it right on Michael Pittman. They couldn't get off the field on third down.
And Q, now I'm going to show you the same play. I'm going to show you the same thing that happens, and this happens multiple times in the game. Okay, it's a 3rd and 3. What's similar to this, Q? What did we just see? Number 2 is tight to number what?
Number 3.
Right? So automatically they're in a position where these two guys should be communicating. It's 3rd and 3. I know you're trying to disguise a blitz, but it's 3rd and 3. You got to get in position. These types of things can work if it's 3rd and 8 because you got more depth to get to. When it's 3rd and 3, you don't have time to be sitting there debating and trying to disguise a blitz. These two guys again, they're in man-to-man coverage. They're trying to work to it. Look at no communication. What's happening?
From the
Look at his hand right here. Take him. That communication has to start at the beginning of the play.
Yep.
So what happens? He's not in position. He gets run by because there's no communication. And that's Jonathan Gannon. That's young players, but it's also Jonathan Gannon getting two guys to communicate better.
Absolutely.
So those types of things, Q, gets frustrating after a while.
Right. I mean, in your analysis, that was exactly the problem right there. And thank you for that. I mean, that was awesome seeing that. To me, that's Gannon. That's also Denard Wilson. That's on everybody on that defense in that back seven, because the linebackers are kind of involved in that a little bit too. So that right there is stuff that needs to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed quickly, because those are the type of plays right there that'll end your season. Absolutely will end your season. So I think the first one, so my point of view, I agree with you on all that. The first one, and especially on the second one, you're playing against Matt Ryan. All right. He already knows that you're going to be blitzing. He already knows you're going to be in some type of man. You don't even need to disguise it at that point. Now, if he was a young quarterback, maybe you want to come down late, maybe. But one thing that we always learn is never, when you're disguising, never put yourself in a position that you're going to get in trouble. Always err on the side of getting in position before something like that happens. And so to me, that's in the coaching room. That's something that they're going to look at, especially you got Aaron Rodgers coming up. He's going to absolutely know exactly what you're going to be in no matter what. And the only thing you can do is get yourself in the best position possible to cover those. So that's absolutely right on that, man. And those are the type of things, like I said, and like you said, that those are the type of things that they've got to get fixed and quickly. But still, like you said, young player, I think those little things can get worked out. I think that they can get that fixed if they work together and they study film together and they work on them things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But here's the thing. How many times have we seen them do it too? So this is why you do these things a bunch, right? You can't get stagnant and play cover 4 and your matchup zone the entire time. So now when you're forced to play man and you're forced to disguise and you're forced to do something that you're not used to doing, you don't have many reps at it. And then you got guys doing things that they haven't done all year. I haven't seen Marcus Epps come down in the box and cover somebody man-to-man like that the entire year. Yeah. So you got Josiah Scott and you got Marcus Epps doing stuff that they don't do. It's been Gardner Johnson doing that the entire year. Yeah. So you got 2 new players doing it, and then you expect them to get it right with few reps because you don't do it that much. It's a very hard ask for any coach.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You spot on right there, man.
Yeah. So we'll get to the offense. Q. We got some takers though for our people at Mojo. We got some takers this week right on our team. Some takers right on our team. Mojo is building the sports stock market where you can invest in your favorite players. Invest in what you know. Turn your sports knowledge into real money with Mojo, the sports stock market. Real stats, real value. Shares entitle you to a guaranteed payout based on career-ending stats. No off days, no off season. Share prices rise and fall constantly in real time based on career-long projections. Cash out anytime. Build a portfolio. Buy and sell on your terms every play, every game, or every season. Mojo is available in New Jersey on iOS, and by downloading the app, you have a chance to win up to $10,000 in free player stock. Click the link in the description for a chance to win $10,000 in free shares of player stock. Must be 21 years and over. Physically located in New Jersey to trade on Mojo. Have a gambling problem? Help is available at 1-800-GAMBLER. Mojo players to watch on the Eagles. Quez is up 0.87%, 2 receptions, 31 yards, 1 touchdown. I'm buying Quez Watkins. The reason I'm buying Quez Watkins, the deep pass in the beginning of the third quarter was a divide route. You remember the divide concept we used to run with the
Yes, I hated that.
He was wide open. Butt booty naked down the field, running down the field. So they're trying to get him the ball more, and somebody has to get the targets that Dallas Goedert won't have because he's injured. So Quez may be that guy getting more targets. So I got to put my money with Quez as far as somebody that's rising.
All right.
You got any Eagle player that's rising on your behalf?
I like Boston Scott. He's one of my favorite players. He's
Boston
down
Scott?
A little bit. He's down 1.04%, but he came in the game a little bit. They're starting to give him a little bit more trickle. He's coming back off injury. I think he's gonna be a very, very important asset down this playoff rush. So for me, I know he's down a little bit, but I'm buying him. I'm gonna bet he's going back up soon.
You know a great time to buy Boston Scott is when you play the Giants. He's the little Giant Slayer. He's David the Giant Slayer. That's who he is. So he plays really well versus the Giants most of the time. So that'd be a great time to buy him when you're playing the Giants. Something to happen where he getting carries.
There you go.
All right, around the league, Samaje Perine is up 11% almost. 11 carries, 30 yards. Joe Mixon went out with the concussion, so he's going to get more touches. So I think that's a player to look out for. Zach Wilson with explosive comments in the media this week. Didn't take responsibility. It was everybody else but me. The coach already said that he's not committing to Zach Wilson. Mike White is his backup. I think Mike White's stock is up almost 9% because of the Zach Wilson fiasco. What do you think about that whole situation?
Man, all I could think about is if he'd have said something like that and came into the locker room on the teams we was in with all them defensive vets, man, he would have, man, tried. I ain't gonna put him out there like that, but he wouldn't. It wouldn't have gone that easy. It wouldn't have gone that. No. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't be buying him. So
decent furniture moving around there.
I can't believe he just and it wasn't even the fact that he said that it wasn't his fault or the offense's fault. It was the way he said it. It was like just so much, just disdain. Like, dude, we're supposed to be a team, and this is how you act. Okay.
Yeah, right. We selling Zach Wilson. We buying Mike White, the backup, because. And especially with a defensive head coach,
Oh yeah, it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Let me tell you about who I like though.
Okay.
Joshua Palmer. Did you watch them play when he played? God, what game was that? This is the Chiefs game. Joshua Palmer, receiver for the Chargers.
The Chargers, yeah, because
he's up 0.655%. He had 8 receptions for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the thing I love about him is that he is playing hungry. He's playing like he's trying to get that next deal. He's getting every time he catch the ball, he's trying to break tackles and get to the end zone. So for me, he's up 6.55%. But I like him. I like his game. I would go buy him if I could.
All right. And when you also talking about that, you're talking about Mike Williams left the game.
Yes.
Keenan Allen sparingly, hadn't been in there most of the season. Like, so when you consider all of these things, like, he's definitely a player that's intriguing. He can only get better because he's getting more reps. So I like that. I like that a bunch. Other players that are falling. Some of the players falling, we talked about Zach Wilson, Kyle Pitts went on injury reserve. A bunch of guys hadn't been playing. So
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, Helaire.
He got injured again last night.
Injured little. It just doesn't make sense when you draft in first round that he hadn't gotten his opportunities. And that lets me know with Coach Reed that something's off with the player because it ain't Coach Reed.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's it for our Mojo picks. Make sure you check them out. You got any gambling problems? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. You asked me about the offense. Let's get right into it.
Yeah. So, offensively. All right. So offensively, not very good without Dallas Goedert. What's your take on this?
My take ultimately is that we played a game with not much tight end input at all.
Yeah.
Right. So let's look at it. Jack Stoll, 1 catch, 1 target. Devontae Smith, 6 catches. A.J. Brown, 5. Quez, 2. Pascal, 1. Tight ends had 1 catch the entire game. That normally doesn't happen. And what that says is that other guys, Devontae Smith's targets will go up. A.J. Brown's may go up. Quez is going to go up for sure over time. So we have to figure out other ways to play in different personnels that kind of accentuates what we have. You can't replace Dallas Goedert. And now you're going to see us, piecemeal the tight end position. Stoll in there on blocking plays, Calcaterra and Tyree Jackson in on, passing plays, right? So I think that it's going to be very predictable if we start to play that type of a game, or we can leave Stoll in there as a blocker and let the receivers do it.
Yeah. I think
that's what I think. I think you got to do that until Dallas gets back.
I mean, that's still very viable. I mean, you got A.J. Brown, you got Quez, you got Devontae. That's a force right there, right?
Yeah, it is.
Keep Stolen protecting a little bit. I mean, they could still cause some damage, right?
They can cause damage, and you may want to you may need that bigger body over the middle because Jalen Hurts has gotten really good throwing the ball over the middle, and so you need some of those matchups sometimes because you can't always beat your head against the door. Because in games like this where you got 3 really good corners, right? Yeah. You got Isaiah Rodgers out there who's a really good 3rd corner. You have Kenny Moore out there who's a solid Sheldon Brown-esque type of corner. And then you have you have Gilmore.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, Gilmore.
Right. Yeah, so you have Gilmore out there. So you got quality corners out there. So there's going to be games when there's other quality corners out there, and you're going to need a relief valve, and sometimes that's the tight end and running back. So those are the games that I worry about when they have adequate corner play, and then you're depending on Stoll to get open and win this one-on-one matchup. I don't necessarily know how realistic that is. Yeah,
that's not good.
Yeah, so that's it.
All right, so let's move on. The RPO game struggled a little bit. I kind of noticed it too. It seemed at times that a couple of the wrong decisions were being made. What's your take on that part?
I think that one, I believe that the Colts had a really good game plan for the RPO.
Yeah.
Right. So Franklin, a lot of times that they were very disciplined on the edges. One.
Yeah.
Their defensive ends were very, very disciplined on the edges. And that right there contains. So now when it's time to make any move or make any decision, Franklin was there. And there's a few times that Jalen, ran it and later in the goal line situation that he should have gave it. Yeah, I thought there were some bad decisions, but I don't want to beat them up for that. I think that they were better. I think they were better prepared for that than most teams are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think too, like with this offense, I feel like you're gonna have to live with that sometimes. I mean, I do agree. I think a couple of times he could have pulled it, especially that it'd be the end of the first half. I think it was like third and 1, 3rd and 2 or something like that, where he gave
the third and 2.
Right, and he could have pulled it.
He could have pulled that, yeah. The one of Miles Sanders on the right side.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And but that's some of the stuff. I mean, you got to be willing to deal with that because again, he comes back down at the end of the game and wins the game with his legs. And so I'm okay with that RPO game. And there's going to be games where teams are going to figure they're going to have a different type of game plan. They're going to muddy up the looks. They're going to do whatever they can to keep that part of the game, the Eagles' offense, kind of at bay. But
yeah. So in that regard, Jalen Hurts ran for 88 yards, right? So since he ran for 88 yards, it's the first time that he's run like this. And they called a lot more designed quarterback runs too.
Yeah.
Because the way that the Colts were playing defense and taking away the option. So why do the run pass option if they're going to have an extra person? Why not just make the running back a blocker and now you have the advantage? It's dangerous, but in winning time, it's definitely necessary, especially when we're not winning one-on-one matchups as frequently outside as we would normally win one-on-one matchups. If we had Faison or Rodgers, it was good. Devontae Smith got open on them pretty consistently. But when it was Kenny Moore and it was Gilmore, it wasn't easy at all. It was passes being touched. It was a bunch of stuff happening.
Yeah.
And we don't have Dallas Goedert. Miles Sanders, I think, averaged like 3 yards a rush. So the only thing that we did have working for us was Jalen Hurts. So I thought that he did the right thing this game by running it as much as he did.
Good. Nice.
Yeah.
So long term, like, do you think that this is going to be, how the offense is going to look for the last few games here, this stretch until Goddard comes back?
No, I don't think that. There's plays to be made. This game shouldn't have been as close as it was because we were in their territory 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
With 0 points.
Yeah.
So just think about if we have, if we score something, we end up with 9 points. 12 points. Yeah. The game is a lot different.
Absolutely.
So I think that they're moving the ball and there's good plays being called. It's just that this game was a lot of self-inflicted penalties, turnovers. AJ Brown with that turnover. I don't know what the hell he stopped because the guy was right there.
Yeah.
He literally stopped. He looked at him and stopped and then forgot that he was right there. Like, he's right there to get the ball out, sir. He's trying to tackle you. He ain't come up to say, yo, what's up, bro? He didn't come. He ain't come there for that. I was looking at that like, man, what the hell are we? What are we doing out here? I'm not. And I know he's a playmaker, but I just think sometimes you lose your mind on the football field. You literally stop your route because you see him, and then somebody else comes and you just forget that he was right there. Like he came over here to just say what's up. So you get that, you get a play again by the offensive staff and/or Jordan Mailata that was just blocked completely wrong, and it was a turnover on a play that would have been a 45-yard gain. So there was so much meat left on the bone. And also with the Redskins or the Commanders. Gosh.
Oh, I do that all the time, man.
Yeah, so with the Commanders, so much meat left on the bone. Many turnovers, many penalties, shooting ourselves in the foot. So shooting ourselves in the foot. There's so much offense. This team can score 27, 28 points a game consistently if they don't make as many mistakes.
But see, the point that's kind of what's starting to worry me a little bit. Okay. I do think they'll be all right, but this is a time of the year where you're not supposed to be making them kind of mistakes. This is the time of year where you're supposed to be buttoning up all that stuff. Yeah. I know the injuries are there, but like you said, the sack with Mailata when he stepped down, when he slid and forgot there was an end out there, like that's not a mistake that a starter should be making at this point in the season.
Yeah.
And everyone makes mistakes and all that, but this is the time where you should be seeing them going this way, not necessarily going here and then going back up and down. So hopefully they get that, remedied quickly.
Yeah, I just, that's a great point. That's a great point. We should be crescendo and we should be going up.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be going down. You're right. Don't be too right about that.
I don't want to be too right. All right. Where are we at? All right. So Jalen Hurts. All right. So he ran for 88 yards. He actually outrushed Jonathan Taylor. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that. Is that the answer without Goddard? We kind of, went over that a little bit. Yeah. So.
There it is. Yeah. Like, so, yeah. So the thing is that like this game showed a lot of toughness. Defense closed out the game because there's no worse feeling of scoring like that. I was watching the game again, like I said, at the Eagles Stadium in one of the clubs, and we scored a touchdown and go up 1 point. I couldn't even celebrate the touchdown.
Why?
Because we went up 1 point. You know how easy it is to score 3 points on a 2-minute drive? You know what I mean? That's like 3 first downs.
Good point, especially with Matt Ryan at the helm, all right?
Yeah, like that's like 3 first downs before a guy can try a field goal. You know what I mean? It's not a bunch. So I was like, should I cheer? I did.
Yeah,
I did, but I was like, come on, defense.
I cheered. I was very nervous like you were, but I was happy, man. I just to see that team come back and keep fighting when things weren't perfect was exactly what this team needed at that point.
We needed, yeah. I wanted a little bit more of that fight last week, but they did it this week. They're like, okay, we're on the road. And it was on the road. Yeah, so it's definitely more hostile. People coming in and support Jeff Saturday. Stands were packed. So like, I definitely respect it. Definitely respect it. Let's look ahead to the Packers game. Aaron Rodgers. They've been running the ball at a high clip with Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback position, something that we've never seen. He had a game a couple weeks ago where they ran the ball 60% of the time, took the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. Who would have ever thunk that you could take a football out of Aaron Rodgers' hands and be successful?
That's crazy. That tells you the state of that receiving core right there. To me, that's what I see. This Packers team is really confusing to me because sometimes they'll look great, and then sometimes they'll just go out there and they're a lot like Dallas. Like they're still very dangerous at any point in time, but it's just like what is going on with that team, right? It looks like Aaron hates being there. It looks like the head coach LaFleur hates Aaron.
It definitely looked like they don't like each other.
Yeah.
That's one thing that definitely you can see from television is that those two dudes do not like each other.
The defense will look good sometimes. So this game, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell which team we're going to be facing. I think this is a game where the Eagles just need to worry about themselves. Get their bodies right, get themselves healthy, but understand that this team is very, very dangerous. And I don't even know. What to expect. You got the young receiver Watson looking nice.
He didn't score 5 touchdowns in the last 2 games.
Yeah, so he's definitely a problem. Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. Our run game hopefully is solidified now with the addition of Sue and Joseph. But it's just hard for me to tell right now what's going to happen at this game. I'm looking forward to seeing which teams from both teams come out. Like, what are we going to see?
So they laid the egg against the Titans. The Titans have one of the best defenses in the league, right? So they were going to struggle because Simmons up front, totally different animal at the D tackle position. So you knew they were going to struggle that game. However, I think that they have viable weapons on offense. I think Aaron Rodgers is declining, and I think it's because of a lack of buy-in to what the head coach is doing. He looks at the head coach like he's short. He does. He looks at it like he's short. Like he's disgusted with everything that he's saying. And it is definitely not the best chemistry. And he's blaming people. And when I say that, blame is not just audible. Blame is the way that you look at people, your body language, your frustration level. There's clips of him yelling at the offensive line, snap the effing ball. He's like doing, shrugging his shoulders when the receiver's dropping the pass, looking annoyed. He's looking like a whole baddie from, like a 12 out of 10 woman that's used to everything her way. That's what he's looking like right now. He's looking like, a Kardashian. So hopefully this drama comes in and we can, capitalize on that. So that's I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too, man.
But he's definitely looking like an awful teammate. Just I know Zach Wilson said what he said. Aaron Rodgers is acting like Zach Wilson without saying it.
Yes. he threw everybody under the bus a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
He was talking about, what did he say? They shouldn't be playing if they're not executing or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's just a clear front office head coach disagreement. You want this old geezer, this is what you get. And so there's definitely a divorce happening somewhere there soon.
Let's hope they have some more dysfunction next week. So
yeah, let's hope. All right. Make sure that you check us out at Launch Trampoline Park in Deptford, New Jersey. We do rock climbing, laser tag. We do slam ball, Ninja Warrior, birthday parties, cafe, corporate events, all types of things we do at Launch Trampoline Park, full arcade, mini bowling. We do a bunch of things. So make sure you check us out. Launch Trampoline Park in Deptford, New Jersey. Have a birthday party with us. Come out, and I will thoroughly whoop your kid in some dodgeball, basketball, whatever you have. And make sure you come out and holler at me. Launch Trampoline Park, Deptford, New Jersey. All right. We only have one question today. So from our man, Ryan T. What are you guys' thoughts on halftime clock management? The Eagles ran 2 plays before the 2-minute warning. They could have ran the clock to the 2-minute warning before running the second play, which would have caused the coach to use 2 timeouts to stop the clock under 2 minutes.
So I'll give the situation on that, right? Because I think I had to write that down. It was 7-3. The the Eagles. It was 2 minutes and 33 seconds when the Eagles got the ball back. First play, they ran the swap boot. They threw the ball to Pascal. He ran up the sideline for like 20 yards or so, right? Next play, they ran an RPO. Then there was a 2-minute warning. Then they ran another RPO, the one we were talking about earlier where he could have pulled it. So 1 minute and 43 left after, because they didn't get the first down on that play. So they had to punt the ball. Eagles punted the ball back. So the Colts get the ball with 1:43 left to play in the half. They drive down and end up getting 3 points. So for me personally, I think the clock management for me was fine. I think everything was fine. I just think the execution on the plays. I don't think that calling 2 RPOs in a row was the right move in that situation, especially when you have a mobile quarterback. I think, like the old dash plays that you guys used to run, something like that where you're getting Hurts out of the pocket, away from the rush, and you can get something to the flat or just take it for a couple yards and get the first down. I would have liked to see something like that instead of the RPOs. But in terms of the clock management, I thought it was fine. I just think the play call and execution wasn't there. What's your thoughts?
When you're dealing with halftime 2-minute drills, unless you're in a situation where you know for sure that you're not going to advance the football to the point, like say you got in a situation where it was 1st and 20 or 1st and 25, or you felt like you weren't moving the ball, then you start to play the games where you make them use their timeouts. But if you're going down to try to score points, you can't worry about the clock in that situation, because you're thinking we need as much time in order to sustain this drive as we can. Right. But if it was a situation where, okay, we're backed up and there's no chance right now that, it's 2nd and 30, 2nd and 20 or something like that, then you try to milk the clock in those types of things. I'm not over coaching a halftime situation unless I'm playing against Tom Brady. Or somebody that I know, like I thought that our team had some plays to be made. I think the play calling was more the problem than the actual clock management.
Yeah. And it's
so in that situation, like late game situations where now you're in your own territory. I was worried about the Eagles at the end of the game, because that kind of matters more, because I was worried that the Eagles scored too quickly. And I was worried that they weren't using the time like properly late in the game. So that mattered more to me than before halftime.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, that brings me up on a whole different subject. And I wanted to ask you this because I think we saw the same thing. I don't want to take too much time, but I want to get your offensive mindset on it. I was watching the game last night, the Chiefs and the Chargers. Chargers go up and they leave. I think it was like 1 minute and 30 seconds or something like that left. Obviously enough time for Mahomes to get a chance to go down and score, and they won the game. As an offensive player, your mindset, like let's say it's 2nd, 3rd down, and it's 3rd short. Like, at what point do you try to score the touchdown, and like how do you balance scoring the touchdown and then running the clock? Like for me, if my mindset as an offensive or a defensive guy is like I want to score as fast as I can. I don't really care how much time is left, because we're down by more than a touchdown. We're down by enough that we need to get the ball in the end zone. We can't wait for a field goal. So from my mindset, if we need a touchdown, I'm trying to score it as fast as I can, because you don't know how many opportunities you're going to get into the end zone, because I know how difficult that is.
No, so like it all depends on what the situation is. But say you get a fresh set of downs, and your fresh set of downs are within the 10-yard line, and say there's 1 minute and 30 left, and you get a fresh set of downs. you can take as much clock as you want to, especially if you have timeouts. Right. And that's a situation, right? We have what we need, right? We have what we need. And say I want to run the ball on one of these plays to get it closer. Maybe I run the ball on first down and get 3 or 4 yards to get it down inside, the 10-yard line. And now I let the clock run and make them use a timeout. Okay. And now in that situation, I've made them use a timeout. The clock had ran for a bit, and now I can spend my next few downs on trying to get in the end zone. Right. But I was able to take something off of the clock. And or another situation is, let's say, a field goal situation. I'm in a frantic pace to get into field goal range. But once I get into field goal range, now I've gotten into field goal range. Let me make sure that they use all of their timeouts.
Okay.
Rather than going for the end zone. You know what I mean? Like, if it's one of those situations where, okay, a field goal will do it for us, I'm going to make sure that they have 30 seconds left when they get the ball back.
Got you. Because maybe it's because I'm a defensive player. I'm like, let's get in the end zone first. I want to know what they got to get for us. What do we have to stop? So we get the ball in the end zone as fast as possible. I just want to know how much time I got. And let's go from there. So
you don't want them giving Patrick Mahomes a minute and something with timeouts is you're going to lose,
right?
And that's the way you got to think. You got to think of it like that. Like, I'm going to lose if I give this man the ball with a minute and something with timeouts. So my best bet is to get him the ball with no timeouts. Therefore, when he makes a play, one of the other dudes will goof it up. Mm. You get what I mean? By not getting out of bounds, getting tackled, running around, something like that.
I got you. All right. Offensive guru.
Yeah.
I guess my thing is like, okay, we don't get it. If we don't get a touchdown on first down and we don't get it on the second down, now I'm nervous now. I'm a head coach. We only got 2 downs and I had the opportunity to score. That's my mindset.
Yeah, that's why if it's down inside, like, it all depends on how close you are. But once you get down inside the 10, I think you can waste it down. But if you're not down there, I don't necessarily think that you can waste a bunch of downs unless the first down play, like that, say it was a third down, you convert a third down inside their 20. Now you can just waste that time until you get it down. Right? So like, say it's a minute left. Now, if I have timeouts, if it was a positive play before that, now I can just let them call a timeout, and or the other thing, you don't always think about a run play. Just think about a high percentage play. A high percentage play that's going to keep the clock running.
Yeah.
So,
Indy,
a tunnel screen, a slip screen, a shallow cross, the Packer where you run 2 guys up the field and throw it to the flat. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Think of something like that can be quick. We're going to get a completion and the clock is going to run. Therefore, we get to make them use their timeouts and it doesn't hurt us. So those are the things you're thinking about. I want high completion plays.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Like I said,
now one-on-one routes. One-on-one routes are not high completion.
Yeah.
But like those little concepts, stuff like that is high completion plays.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I'm taking my notes when I'm coaching against you sometime in the future.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. That's it for the Q&A podcast. Make sure you check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Inside the Birds YouTube channel, Amazon, and/or Apple Music. Everyone that's tuning in each and every week, thank you guys for the support. And also email your questions to insidethebirds@gmail.com. Thank you to Adam and Jeff and Josh, everyone at Inside the Birds. Go Birds. This weekend, I'm Jason Avant. Quinn Michael has the last words.
As always, man, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, everybody, for supporting us, and we'll see everybody next week.